how to put an engine in 5 minutes. Start by putting that guy in and that guy in and getting the tray picker. Second step is get the engine in the air on the stand. Second step is get the engine in the air on a stand balanced. Third step is get the clutch on, get the transmission lifted, and get ready because you have to push it in those two bottom holes. And then once it's in those and nice and tight, then you drop it in the mount holes. Once you get the engine in, you put all, I believe, 7 of the bolts for the bell housing in, and then you go underneath. And where those 2 mounts are, one right there, you push them in once they get all those set, and the engine's in. Okay, just so I don't miss anything, once you get all those bolts tightened, you put the starter in right there, and then downpipe on, O2 sensor, plug in right here, plug this harness right here into right there, and then you want to go power steering, which is that and that. Obviously power steering pump or reservoirs right there, and then of course you want to go to this side. You plug these 2 engine harness connectors in, and then after a little bit you gotta put the radiator in. We'll get there in a minute though. Don't forget to put the back coolant lines on, and then the radiator is next, and the fuel lines, make sure they go on correctly, otherwise the car won't start. And then of course that vacuum line for the brake booster, otherwise you have problems. Then you put the coolant reservoir in. You got that line on the bottom you don't want to forget. And you put those 2 bolts on. Okay. You got a top one. And then this one right here. Here. You put those on the front. Then you have an idiot down below. You put bolts in. Being really loud in your video. Now for 02 to 04 WRXs, or I guess 05, you got throttle cables you got to put on right there. There's 2 bolts in the front. And then there's these 2 guys up in front down here. You got to plug in cruise and your throttle, obviously. For 04 and STI up, and then 06 plus WRX, you just have a little plug-in. You just plug in. So, yep. Almost forgot to cover that. You really don't want to forget your intake. Just kind of set on there. Just kidding. You got to bolt that all up. But you don't want to forget that. This little guy down here, you got to route it so it comes up and around and inside there. Otherwise, you throw a lot of check engine lights. Radiator's in. 1 fan's in. 2nd fan goes in, and then you got to put the washer, the overflow reservoir in. And intercooler will be next, and then we're pretty much good to go. Just about done getting all wrapped up, and then I forgot we need this hose. This is quite helpful. And then got the reservoir in, and overflow, and battery, and it'll start in just a minute, hopefully. We'll see. Putting the battery in, and all ready to go. Just got to put oil and coolant in, and we'll go to start it up, hopefully. Before you go to start it, make sure you have oil in. But before you put oil in or coolant in, make sure that little white thing on the bottom of the radiator is nice and closed, and the drain plug's nice and tight, because you don't want to spill all over the floor. And now go ahead and fill it. When putting in coolant, a reservoir like this is quite nice, so you don't spill coolant everywhere and then burn it for the next 3.5 days and complain because your car won't stop smelling like burnt coolant.